Today, I'll show you how a $99 EA doubled my $200 account in just over 3 months, and why I decided not to withdraw the profits immediately, but to increase the account size. I'd also appreciate it if you could check if you're subscribed to the channel. The simple and free action helps more than you know and allows us to continue opening new live accounts, testing new robots, and sharing our results with you. And it ensures you always know as soon as new content is dropped, keeping you ahead of the curve. Thanks. Let's get started. And let's start by looking at the platform. And what you can see is that this account started with $200 on the 2nd of October. And you'll see that we actually increased that account to $1,000. So we added another $800. And I'll explain why a little later in the video. And if we scroll down to the bottom, you can see all of the trades and you can see that we just made a withdrawal of $289. Now let me show you a little bit more about the performance of the CA. And to do that, we're going to go to the Algo Trading Space website. And if you haven't been here before, if you go to results, you can click on live trading, and what you'll see is all of our live trading accounts are listed here. And if you expand any of them, you'll see the track record. So let's do a search for the Dark Titan, which is the EA we are talking about in this video. And if we click on track record, what you can see is that we have the track record here. And as you saw on the platform, it started at the beginning of October, traded very well, no real drawdowns to speak of yet. And at this point here, which was on the 19th of January, we increased the account to $1,000. Now, the reason we did that was because this account grew so quickly that we actually felt that it was probably a little bit too risky based on our own trading rules, where we aim for 2 to 3% a month. This thing did about 30% a month initially, which was great in terms of a return on investment, but it was a little bit risky. And you can see that actually we did this right on time, because right after we made that deposit, it actually went into quite a long drawdown. And in this account, it wasn't such a big deal, but had this been on a $200 account still, this would have been significant and could have potentially really affected the account and maybe even blown the account. We can see that the balance at this point here, for example, was 1,193. So let's assume that was 200, but our drawdown or our equity at this stage was at about 1,020. So close to $200. So this actually probably would have not necessarily blown the account, but we would have likely run out of margin and not have enough capital or margin to actually continue with the drawdown and recover as it did in the $1,000 account. The other reason that we increased it was because this account is going to form part of our plans for this year, which is to have $100,000 in live trading. Now, another reason that we had these really good results and we had even this recovery was because of the broker that we decided to trade with. And the broker in this case was Black Bull Markets. So if we go to the Black Bull Markets, you'll see that they are a multi-award winning broker. We go down to the bottom of the page, you can see that they are fully regulated, which is exceptionally important. But as I said, the reasons for our great trading results is because of the trading conditions. We generally trade with an ECN Prime account, and we have compared Prime to Standard. In fact, Maureen did it in depth, and if you missed that video, I'll link to it down below in the description. But if we look at the markets, you'll see that if we go to Forex, let's have a look at the Forex miners. What we're going to do is we're going to do a search for the instrument that we are trading, which is the New Zealand CAD. Okay, and if we look at the trading conditions, you'll see that there's a live spread currently of 0.6 pips, which is simply amazing. Now, let's quickly go and have a closer look at the Dark Titan, and this is from the developer of the Dark EAs. And if you've watched my videos, you'll know that I am a big fan of the Dark EAs. However, it is really important to backtest and set the EA up according to your own trading style, your goals, and your risk tolerance. So we spend a lot of time backtesting to get the settings to a point where we are comfortable that it will perform as we want it to without having too much of a risk. So in our live accounts, we're looking for 2 to 3% a month with a maximum drawdown of 50%. Now, importantly, when we're doing the backtest, we are not really changing the core logic of the strategy. We might change the grid type, we might change the grid distance, the trading times, and the entry lots. But what we're not doing is changing anything with the parameters of the indicators. Of course, you can if you want to, but unless you're a very experienced trader, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Another tip that I can give you is that when you are performing a backtest, let's say you're doing a 5-year backtest, when you're optimizing your EA, do it for the first 4 years. So just use the first 4 years of historical data. That'll be your in-sample data. And once you have your optimization file and you have a few settings that look really promising, what you should then do is test them on the last year of historical data, so the 5th year of historical data. If it still performs well, it means that it's robust and it is much safer. But what a lot of people do is they'll backtest for 5 years, they'll get this perfect equity line. But what happens is once you place it on a live account, it actually fails. And the reason for that is that it's actually been over-optimized. So what that means means is that the settings have been adjusted to fit the markets rather than setting the EA up so that it trades well in all market conditions, including those that it hasn't been backtested on. So let's take a closer look at the Dark Titan itself. There's a lot of information on this page that you can go through in your own time, but if we go down to the cost of the EA, you'll see that it costs $99, but this is for 5 licenses, and for $149, you're actually getting 10 flexible licenses. Now, how this works is that each license is linked to an account number. So on the Dark EA's platform, once you have an account, you'll go in, you'll put in the account number for the account that you're going to be trading it on, but it doesn't mean that you can only trade one chart. You can actually trade multiple charts with one license. So you can trade the same symbol, you can trade different symbols. It's really up to you how you choose to do it. So if you spend quite a lot of time backtesting and you may find different currencies that it works for, you don't necessarily need to place it onto a new account. You can actually use the same license on that platform. So essentially you're still only using one license. And I will leave a coupon code for you down below in the description, so you'll actually get a further 10% off the price. So again, as I said, in my opinion, this is one of the best, if not the best, value for money EAs out there. So I think you can see why this $99 EA is a good investment. The real results are there. The withdrawals are there. And now it's just about managing it properly and seeing how far it can go. If you're running this EA with the different settings or on other pairs, please let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to see how it's performing for you. All the links are below, and if you want to check out the performance for yourself, I'll leave a link to all of our live trading results down below in the description. If you're new to trading and want to learn how to quickly and easily get started with a fantastic free EA, check out this video here. As always, thanks for watching, trade safe, and I'll see you soon.